So right now, many One Piece readers talking about how Rock's face has finally been revealed, and how the left side of his face kind of gives off the same vibe as Buggy. That's led to big rumor. Maybe Buggy is also a part of Rock's bloodline. And here's where it gets interesting. Some fans think there's a little Easter egg from Oda Sensei himself. I think it's just printing layout thing, but some people believe that the blank space right after the word Blackbeard, Kurohige, is actually a little hint from Oda Sensei. Like he's sneakily hiding Buggy's other title, Douke, which means clown, right there. Just a bit of playing foreshadowing from him. But honestly, it's kind of fun to think that Buggy might be the only one among the 4 emperors who doesn't come from the special bloodline. But when we remember that he was part of the Roger Pirates and take into account how insanely lucky he is, it's clear that he is someone whose life is totally shaped by fate. Even the Bible cut mentioned that about him. But the biggest clue is actually right in those 4 new portraits of the 4 emperors. Have you noticed anything about them? If you spot it, you might just catch Oda Sensei's biggest message here. So in this video, I want to dig into Buggy's true background and where his story might be heading, especially with all the new info that's come out in the Elbaf arc. On this channel, we go beyond what translation software can catch even in 21st century, like all the wordplay and subtle nuance of Japanese. I talk about One Piece from the perspective of someone reading the original version in Japanese. If you're looking for chapter by chapter breakdowns, that's all here on this channel, LunaPienArt. For deeper theories, check out the Dusk channel. And if you want to dive even further into the discussion, my Patreon is the place to go. You can share your original theory on that page. Alright, that's enough of an intro. Let's jump into the main topic here. There's actually a real chance that Buggy might be the part of the D clan. Why? Because the Bible card includes this line. After the series of bizarre twists of fate, he took part in the Marineford War. Afterward, he led a group of notorious prisoners and started a mercenary business. Even though he lost his title as one of the 7 warlords, Shichibukai, he went on to form the Cross Guild with 2 other former warlords. The Marines mistook him as the leader, and ended up being the named one of the 4 emperors. Have you heard this phrase before? Sukina Unmei, a series of bizarre twists of fate. Yeah, the phrase is actually frequently used when describing the member of the D clan. Now of course, that alone isn't enough to confirm that Buggy is D clan. But it's a fact that he always been caught up in the strange turns of the fate. And more than that, he keeps getting pulled into the lives of people who do carry the D. There's actually another really important clue that Buggy might be the part of the D clan, and it's hiding in the plain sight on the cover of volume 25. This cover is pretty famous for having foreshadowed the future 4 emperors. But have you ever looked closely at the goat on the center? What's that all about? Well, the key detail here is that the goat is eating paper. Now here's where it gets interesting. In Japanese, the word kami means paper. This one, kami, which means paper. But when written in different kanji, here, kami also means God. Same pronunciation, completely different meaning. So if you interpret that scene symbolically, the goat is eating God. That alone is a strong image. According to Roshinante, in Marie-Jour, they actually scare kids into behaving by telling them, if you are naughty, the D will come and eat you. That's how they discipline children up there. So this could be Oda Sensei's way of hinting that the D are the ones destined to take down the celestial dragons, the ones who can eat or destroy the so-called gods. Now let's look more closely at the 4 characters on the cover. Luffy, Blackbeard, and Buggy all have their mouths open. Shanks is the only one with mouth closed. You probably remember, throughout the One Piece, Oda Sensei when draws the people smiling right before they die. And sometimes that smile is shaped exactly like the letter D. That recurring visual might be another quiet signal that these three characters are connected through the will of D. And this isn't just limited to volume 25, you can spot the same kind of symbolism on the cover of the volume 105, in the newspaper showing the new 4 emperors, and even in the color spread for chapter 1054. It's very clear that the Oda Sensei is doing this deliberately. So you could argue that the ones eating the goats are Luffy, Blackbeard, and the Buggy. And that those three are the only ones on the cover who carry the D name. And the one character who's not part of that group, the only one with his mouth shut, is Shanks, who as we know is from the Figalan family, Celestial Dragon. There seems to be something about the D-Clan that naturally draws people together. Members of the D-Clan often cross paths with one another, almost like fate keeps pulling them into each other's lives. And of course, Buggy is no exception. Over the course of his journey, he's had connections to a lot of Ds. Gold D. Roger, Monkey D. Luffy, Portgas D. Ace, and Trafalgar D. Waterloo. Roger even had tied to Scholars of O'Hara, which means there might have been a connection to Professor Clover, Cloud D. Clover as well. So when you think about it from that angle, it's not crazy to imagine that Buggy might actually be the son of Roxy Xebec. In the world of One Piece, we do hear talk of rulers of the sea. I mean, Kaizokuo, Pirates King. But only 2 characters have explicitly declared their ambition to rule the world. Roxy Xebec and Marshall D. Teach. And then there's Buggy. In that scene, he says, "Let us vote to conquer the world together." That's not just pirate talk, that's a bold, world-dominating declaration. Even back during the Marineford War, the Whitebeard asked if they should team up. Buggy thought like this: "I just saw it, the version of me becoming the king of the world." He's using language no other pirates dares to, the king of the world. That kind of mindset, maybe it doesn't come out of nowhere. Maybe that ambition was passed down to him by his father, if his father really was Roxy Xebec. And if you look at the timeline, it lines up shockingly well. Blackbeard was born 40 years ago. Buggy was born 39 years ago. And the God Valley incident happened 38 years ago. It fits almost too perfectly. And if the will of D really is something that gets passed down from the one generation to the next, then maybe Rox believed that even if he failed, someone would carry on his will. Maybe that's why he triggered the God Valley incident, to pass the torch to his successors. Either way, Buggy has had a lot of run-ins with pirates who carry the D name, but there's one D he's never actually spoken to directly, someone he's seen but likely never interacted with. That person is Marshall D. Teach. And personally, I think those two are going to meet. It's coming. And I believe what's on the horizon is an alliance between the Blackbeard Pirates and the Cross Guild, including Kuro Hige Kaizokudan and Kuro Sugildo. We can call it Kuro Kuro Doumei. Now, if these two end up joining forces, there's a real possibility that one particular pirate could be brought back to life. That pirate is Roxy Xebec again. According to Sengoku, Rox is already gone. He's no longer of this world. But there is one way he could come back. And that's through Moriya's Kage Kage no Mi, his shadow powers. If someone were to get their hands on Rock's corpse and powerful enough shadow, then yeah, reviving him might actually be possible. Think back to Thriller, even Ryuma, a swordman who died over 400 years ago, come back as zombie and was still ridiculously strong. So if you apply that same logic to Rocks, who died only 38 years ago, there's no doubt his body would still quality as one of the strongest physical specimens out there. It could absolutely move again, and move with power. Plus, remember what Moria was doing back then. He was collecting bodies like the Captain John and Gilbusters, all former members of the Rocks Pirates. So if someone did manage to find the body of the man who led them all, you can bet Moria would want to add it his collection without the hesitation. So first off, where exactly is Moria, the guy with the shadow fruit? Last we saw, Perona helped him escape from Hachinos. After that, his current whereabouts are completely unknown. But there's something interesting. According to the Bible card, both Perona and the someone who looks like Moria actually appeared in the cross-guild design sketches. So honestly, it's totally possible they might have joined up with cross-guild by now. And that would make a lot of sense. Cross-guild is openly setting itself up as the enemy of the Marines. And if you look at the Mihawk, he's someone who's apparently been betrayed by the Marines in the past. Plus, remember what Mihawk said when he first met Zoro? I'm not a fool who goes all out to hunt rabbits like some wild beast. Now, fast forward to the recent chapters, we've actually seen that those wild beasts who hunt rabbits showed up. They literally call their prey rabbits. So maybe Mihawk's words weren't just a metaphor. Maybe he was speaking from the experience. Maybe he saw that exact behavior in the past, and that's part of why he holds such contempt for the Celestial Dragons. Buggy also ended up getting betrayed by the world government after they abolished the warlord system. And Crocodile? Back during the Marineford War, he straight up changed his target from Whitebeard to the world government because he didn't want to let the world government control how the war play out. So now, Cross Guild is made up of the people who've been betrayed by the world government or who straight up hate them. That's why it actually makes perfect sense for Moria to join them. He was also betrayed by the world government after the war. And on top of that, the Cross Guild's entire system encourages the people to hunt Marines. That makes Moria could get his hands on the powerful Marine's corpse, which is a huge bonus for someone with his ability. All things considered, Cross Guild might be the perfect place for him. But even if Moria is around, there's still the biggest question of all. Where's Rock's body? That's a real mystery here. And I personally think the key to that might be connected to something Buggy already has. Captain John's treasure map. Now it's unclear whether Buggy has already found the treasure or if he still doesn't know where it is. Here's what we do now. Captain John was a member of the Rocks Pirates, so it's possible that somewhere among his treasure, there was also a clue about the location of Rock's corpse. Remember, the Rocks crew was originally a group brought together purely for profit. So it wouldn't be surprising if Rocks had his own personal stash of treasure hidden away somewhere. And maybe after Rocks died, John tracked down that treasure and brought it back with him. Now think back to Thriller when Nami found all that treasure. But among the treasure, Luffy picked up a random glass band and he gave it to Buggy, and it turns out that was the map to Captain John's treasure. So imagine this chain of events. Buggy follows a map and finds a treasure. Among the loot, there's something that is valuable as treasure, but it does contain a clue about where Rock's body is buried. Then that clue somehow ends up in the Blackbeard's hands. And if that leads Blackbeard to Rock's corpse, you've got something huge. But it doesn't stop there. because there's one more piece of the puzzle. The perfect person to provide the shadow to bring rocks back to life, and that person is Gurp, who Blackbeard has already captured. So just imagine it. The legendary body of the pirate who once terrified the world, possessed by the shadow of the Marine's greatest hero. That would be the resurrection of an unstoppable legend. The D-clan often described as the enemy of the gods, and in the world, the so-called gods are celestial dragons. So the D-clan being their natural enemies makes total sense. At some point, it's likely the current system ruled by the celestial dragon is going to be shattered by the D-clan. But there's a problem that comes with that. Once the gods are gone, what happened to people who believed in them? The world loses its pillar, its symbol of divine authority. People are left with nothing to cling to, and if you think about it, Luffy isn't the kind of the guy who would take that role. He's always made it clear. He is not Nika, the god worshipped by the giants. He is not interested in being someone's hero. He doesn't want to be worshipped, he just wants to be free. So it's really hard to imagine Luffy becoming the symbol people look to for guidance. But there's someone who could take on that role. Someone who, when Luffy declared he's become the Pirate King, responded with, "If you are the king, then I'm God." Yeah, that's Buggy. So what if when Luffy finally becomes the Pirate King, instead of in search of even more freedom, Buggy steps in and becomes God? The figure people turn to, the one they believe in. And in that world, people everywhere might start saying, "The Buggy is my rock." Anyway, there's still so much more I want to say about Blackbeard, Buggy, and rocks, so I'll be doing deeper dive in the Japanese over on my page, Patreon page I mean. Some of the posts are totally free, so feel free to check them out anytime. Also, I'd be posting more videos on Dawn Dusk channel, so make sure you don't miss any of those uploads. And if you are interested in private Japanese lessons, or want to work with me on translation projects, just reach out via Instagram or email. Alright, see you in the next video.